is Barn on 11970. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. It is 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, November 14, 2016. And according to one of my subscribers, they said I don't mention my shoe size, so it is 10 and a half. So I have now all bases covered. Welcome, everybody. And today we're going to talk a little bit into the first speech that Obama has made since Donald Trump has become president-elect. And we're going to go over a few things. Not much to say because it was basically a lot of rhetoric and a lot of things. But I do want to point out one or two things that I thought were important. One of the things I found quite interesting is every single time Obama moved his hands, the cameras went off like ridiculous. I mean, throughout the entire speech, anytime he moved his hands, there were hundreds of clicks going on. So it's just so conditioning that these people want this perfect shot. I find that funny, so that's not a major thing, obviously. But here's one thing I found fascinating. It took almost a half hour into the speech before he even said Donald Trump's name. He referred to him as the incoming president, president-elect. He would say he, his, never said his name. And even towards the end of the speech, he went back to, oh, the incoming president or the president-elect. He would not say his name. I found that quite interesting. Another thing that I had a major problem with, and this goes with the typical corrupt media, and at this point, and it's funny because I talk to people on my Facebook page, people are still referring to CNN for information. So it shows that even though people that come here and other channels like this, that we know the media is corrupt, this is what I talk about speaking out. It is our job to show our friends and family that places like CNN are not trustworthy. And that's why that video that I posted the other day about showing them interviewing their own cameraman should be shown to all your friends and family. So even my friends, because a lot of my posts never get shown. So even if you share stuff, they probably won't even get notified of it, so they'll never see it. So we need to sit people down. We have mobile devices these days. We have cell phones. We have laptops. Bring them over to your friends' houses, your family's houses, your coworkers. Make them watch it and see it for themselves. If we just share it in hopes that they will check, places like Facebook and Twitter, and even YouTube, I've proven, have blocked my information, trying to keep it from getting out there. If we just share it and say that's enough, they'll never see it. So we have to make sure that we physically show them and know that they saw it, because otherwise they're still going to listen to CNN and all these other corrupt networks. But one of the things that I was really upset about is not one question was about these protests/riots that are continuing to go on. And that bothered me. And the fact that the president, it is Obama still, that he didn't even bring it up himself is a tragedy and a travesty at this point. I mean, it's going on, 4 days, 5 days now that these people are still allowed? Now, protests I have no problem with. I don't agree with them because they don't really accomplish anything. But people should have the right to their free speech. But when it comes to destroying property, injuring people, you are no longer protesting, you are rioting, even if it's just sporadic little parts here and there. And for the president to not mention it and not talk about it really shows what this is all about. And if you watch the speech, you will pretty much hear him patting himself on the back, saying how employment is the lowest ever, even though they won't talk about if you are on, for example, the welfare system and you're unemployed, you only get that for a certain amount of months and then you're taken off, then you're no longer considered unemployed. What about all the people that have part-time jobs? They're employed. So they kind of just make it like, oh, look, the unemployment numbers are down. And people will believe what they're being told. So he was going around saying that, his administration was probably one of the best in recent history. So he did a lot of patting himself on the back. So to me, this one was just, the same old, and in typical form. Instead of trying to help this world, because I mean he talks about, the economy and the jobs and everything, and to me, do you guys out there think things are better? Because if things were really good under a democratic system, well, they would have flooded towards everybody but Trump. So it sends a message that the people don't agree with these people that are so out of touch. And I think that's why we're tired of the celebrities, these people that use auto-tunes, and the people that are basically paid to be pretend liars and basically do whatever they want for money. They talk about prostitutes and how that's such a low thing, but yet how many actors and actresses will do things with other people on camera because they were paid to do it? They preach about gun control and gun safety, and yet they'll have movie after movie of them shooting up a whole bunch of people, murdering them left and right. So I think the people are tired of the hypocrisy of these extremely wealthy people that are out of touch. And I think, honestly, Obama is out of touch. And this speech really says it. And the same thing with the media. They surround themselves with yes men. People that constantly agree with everything they say. They can do no wrong because people are afraid to actually stand up. So they get into this little bubble world where they're surrounded by all these extremely wealthy people doing, things that the most people don't do. They talk about, even like an interview the other day I saw with Trey Gowdy, and I had a lot of respect for him recently, but he talks about how this system of law is equal for the poorest person up to the richest person. And it's like that being so out of touch. I mean, considering he was one of the people investigating with Hillary Clinton, to say that the poorest person, because he talks about, for example, the speed limit. The speed limit is the same for a poor person as it is a wealthy person. But what they don't say is if you're extremely wealthy, you could buy yourself out of those tickets. And people like Hillary Clinton can buy herself out of prison. So the law is not fair. So even people that I thought I could even respect, their heads are so far up the clouds that they just either refuse to see it or they're not smart enough to see it. Either way is not good. So as much as people love Trey Gowdy, and I've never had anything bad to say about him because there's a lot of things I agree with, but it even shows even people like that are so out of touch. If you think the law is equal to the richest person and the poorest person, when you see the wealthy buy their freedom all the time, the poor people get sent to jail, sometimes without even a fair trial. So I think that is one of the things that the people are so upset with, is these people are so out of touch. That is the school system, that is the political system, it is the media. They are still even trying this propaganda. And Obama is just the icing on the cake. He sits there trying to say how wonderful his administration was. Well, you know what? If that was the case, then these protesters would be protesting that we need to change the law that would give Obama a third term. How many people right now are protesting out in the streets at all, suggesting Obama should get a third term? If he's so great and he's done so much of what he claims, patting himself on the back for like nearly 90% of this speech, why isn't anybody out on the streets or going to the government and creating petitions? Are there any petitions on the U.S. government site that says Obama needs a third term? Well, if he did such a great job, wouldn't they do that? What about Roosevelt? Didn't he have more than 3 terms? Because they loved him so much, they kept bringing him into office until eventually they had to create the term limits? Because remember, at a certain point in our U.S. history, there was no such thing as term limits for a president. They could go as many times as they wanted as long as they got voted in, quote unquote. So I have a problem with the fact that the media didn't talk about all this stuff, about what's going on. And I also have a problem with Obama. He basically dodged a bullet because he didn't have to say anything. He should have said something. This was an opportunity. But there's still the division. And that's one of the things, like people say to me all the time, because I don't have the answers to everything. But one of the biggest things, if I was president, one of the first things I would try and do, if I had the ability to do it, is get rid of the two-party system. Because it doesn't work anymore. Because as you can see, this country is so divided, we're ready to hurt each other because the other side has no flexibility. And that depends on what side you're on. So you automatically have to go with your side. Well, if we no longer have Democrats and Republicans, and we just have individuals going to try and help govern this country, well, then people would base things on their ideals, not their party. To me, these are the most simplest things. And I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow or in this week where I talk about the things that I want to see Donald Trump do to see if he really means what he says. So that video will probably be tomorrow. And I just wanted to give an update on the actual petition that people signed. They finally actually showed some of the people that actually signed, which I find funny. Because when I actually go to the site, let's go to my petitions. I'm not even going to waste time showing it. It shows 92 signed. So when I click on it, it actually, so it's updated. So 92 people signed. It said one person up until today. So, I mean, obviously I'm not going to get 100,000 votes. I wasn't expecting that. I was really hoping, at least spread awareness so that people are tired of these out-of-touch people. Let them go. Because like I said before, they all talk about, I'll move to Canada. Not one of them says, I'll move to the Middle East. I'll move to Mexico. Well, where's all this diversity and unity? They're always worrying about the poor Syrians that are coming in and they need to be protected. Well, why don't they move to Syria? Show us how much love there is there. Why don't they talk about those things? Sometimes it's not what's said or what's done. It's sometimes what's not said and what's not done. Like, for example, the video I did the other day, which not many people have seen, unfortunately, is that video. I did another video about that CNN reporter that was supposedly picking a person out of the crowd, which ended up being a CNN cameraman. I pointed out the fact that let's just assume that person 100% did not know that that person was legitimately a cameraman for CNN, because maybe there's thousands of employees and they don't get to know every single one of them. So let's just say, for argument's sake, he was 100% not in the know. Well, once he heard the other reporter say, yeah, I work with him, he was a reporter for me in such and such area, that person, if he was a true investigative reporter, would have had a duty of saying, oh, is this correct? But he just smiled and pretended nothing happened, which proves that they knew what was going on. Because the average person, if they found out somebody they were interviewing was a liar, they'd call him on it. But this is the society that we're in, and this is where people need to speak up. And that's why, like I tell people all the time about my channel, just sharing a link. I mean, I appreciate those that do it, but Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they hide this stuff to the best of their ability. So we need to and it doesn't have to be my videos, because this is not about me. If you have a channel or other channels or other videos that are millions of times better than mine, sit your friends down, sit your family down, sit your coworkers down and say, here, I want to show you something. Let me know what you think about this. And maybe even just show a section of the video that you think is crucial. And get them to see what's going on. Because if we do not put in the effort, this is not going to get better. And that's why I'm saying we need to hold Trump to the fire. Because like I've said, I really think he's going to pardon Hillary Clinton. And he had a big part of his campaign letting people cheer on about, lock her up. So we need to call him on it. Because if we sit there and say, okay, we got the person that we supposedly wanted, let's just let him do it, and we choose to go back into watching TV and, doing nothing, well, don't be surprised if all of a sudden things don't go your way, and by the time you realize that, it'll be too late. So this video I'm not going to make very long. I got a couple of things I got to go do. So I always love to at least try and do at least one video a day. So even if you don't get notifications, come to my channel every day, because pretty much, except for Saturdays, and even there, every now and then I'll make a video if something's important. But I usually make a video every day. And I'll never go a whole week without not making a video. So even if you don't get notifications, come to my channel. Hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and if you don't know about this, if you go on the main page where it shows the amount of subscribers I have, right near the subscribe button, there should be this little circle that you could click on, and a little box that'll open where you could check where it says send me notifications. Now, even with that, some people say they still don't get notifications, but it might help those that don't know. So as far as my overall conclusion and opinion of this speech, it was the same old, same old. He just patted himself on the back. He wouldn't say Trump's name hardly at all. It took over almost a half hour before he even said it. And he didn't talk at all about these protests / riots. And I think that is a missed opportunity, and it doesn't surprise me. And what really doesn't surprise me is the media didn't bring it up. Out of sight, out of mind. So I'm going to end the video there. As usual, I want to thank all of my subscribers who take the time to listen. To all of you out there, like Christopher Hall, The Awakened Nomad, Lair Mayonette, 31 Saint 31, 777, Hillary Clinton. Wow, Hillary Clinton's here. Well, screw you if that's the case, if that's really you. And everybody else, Sean Thompson, Kramer Jack. That's pretty much it. But I want to thank you all for taking the time to comment, and I want to give a quick shout out to all you guys. I'm not sure if I said 31 Saint 31, but I wanted to give a shout out too. So thank you very much. Leave your comments. Remember, when this processes, thumb it up when you can. I always appreciate the support. And ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out. Never be afraid to question and lose your fear. Stand up and speak up. Otherwise, one day we will not have that opportunity. So thank you, Fraud Watch. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all. Have a great day. And say it with me. Don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered.